Hey, welcome to Wabi-sabi. Thanks for checking out the podcast. Things are still new and I have no marketing budget, so please subscribe if you're enjoying the talks and leave a review. This show has no sponsors and I'm currently exploring community engagement through Patreon. If you'd like to learn more about that, please check out patreon.com/wabi-sabi podcast. That's patreon.com/WABISABI My guest today is Pitango Maybe. He's an artist, ringmaker, and storyteller, among other things. He's a friend I met years ago in Los Angeles, and our orbits don't sync up often, so I was surprised when he learned of this show and asked to come on to speak about a politically polarizing topic, Palestine and Israel. That being said, I am including a content warning, as the topics discussed may be triggering for some. While we do discuss subjective and objective views on the Middle East, there are also stories shared of military service that include themes of combat, death, and PTSD. If you take issue with these topics, then you may want to pass on these stories for now. Otherwise, keep your mind free and your heart open. Here's Pitango. So, thank you for coming.
Thank you for bringing me here. I kind of insisted, I have to say the truth.
But I like it was kind of my idea when I said I'm starting a podcast. I want to pursue people.
Yeah.
And I also want to secretly be pursued too.
Yeah.
So when you said, we sat and had unbelievable tea at our friends Chris and Mickey in Topanga, and you said, I want to come on your podcast and talk to you about Israel-Palestine. I said, yes, because I don't know. I don't really have anyone to be able to talk about it with, because I feel like I don't really have any tangible experience with it, and nor do I even have like a close perspective. I mean, I have family there.
Yeah.
And we don't have to dive into it right at this second, but
I actually think it's a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people that actually have a solid opinion about the subject, about Israel and Palestine, and generally the Middle East, is most of the I would say all the people that I meet here that have a solid opinion about it, it's people who never actually been in the Middle East.
Yeah.
So their perspective is only from the media, even if lately we get a slightly bigger perspective because of Facebook and sources like that, but still is only an angle of the truth. And I feel like it's really important when we look at something so important that we actually do our own search instead of just receive information from people who already have an opinion about the subject, and they do their search from a solid opinion of what is the truth. I feel like it's really important to, when you come to a subject like that you actually remove everything that is truth for you and just start really clean. It's not only about that subject, it's with everything. But when people go into politics, they already have an opinion, they already have a truth.
There's already a bias.
Yeah, and to remove that truth, it's so hard that if you can artificially remove the truth before you go to any kind of important subject and just go to it clean and really hear the other person, that will be really important. So, and that's why I actually wanted to come here and to speak about it, is because there was one point in my life where my truth was not validated anymore, even not only from my environment, but even from my own consciousness. Like I developed a new consciousness and a new integrity, and my old truth and my knowledge and my information about what is right and what is wrong was not true anymore. So, by the way, I'm so fascinated by the taste of the tea that I'm going to drink soon.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Well, first of all,
So happy. Oh my God! Yes, exactly what I was imagining. Yeah. Thank you.
thank you for coming.
Boom. Oh my God.
Well, it's funny when you are my fifth person interview story to hear, and I don't have a format
Yeah.
with this show. I'm even hesitant to call it a show, and I don't even know if I want to introduce people as we sit here,
Yeah.
or like I usually now for the last three that I put out, I spend like 1 or 2 minutes talking, like I make like another recording and I do a few minutes, 2 minutes of like intro.
Yeah.
Like, this is who I spoke with, and I know we have this history, and and this is what he or she does, and so here's the conversation. Then that's how I present that. Do you want any context here?
I don't know if it's matter.
Okay.
I don't know if yes, my life story, it's important,
For context.
but it's important for the story that I'm gonna say right now about my truth. But the story himself is not really, the past himself is not really important. What important is how I say the story, and every time, in every point of my life, when I would go back to my story, I would say it in a completely different way anyway.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't need to be attached to the story, to the past, to who I am, to who I was,
Right.
and generally I can just say that I born in the Middle East. I born in a place called Israel, that even the name himself is a conflict, because some people call it Palestine,
Mm-hmm.
and some people call it Mother Earth, Gaia,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. There is a lot of names to the same place where I born, but I born in Tel Aviv, and it was by the sea, by a beautiful. It's a great place to have a nice childhood, at least back then. There was a lot of safety.
Mm-hmm.
So you could actually, it was one of those places that you can actually feel safe, that your kids are playing outside, or walk a mile to the beach and be there and surf or do whatever. It used to be a very safe environment. I don't think it's the same no more, because since then there was a lot of things that happening in Israel, and I feel most of those things are it's not only in Israel, it's reflect all over the world. There was a big change, and a lot of unknown came to the world. Like before, we used to have, like when we born, there was a black and white television, or some people had a color television, and we thought and people just land on the moon, and we thought like, oh my God, this is we found the truth, you know. This is how it's going. This is what it is, you know.
Yeah.
And we didn't understand that all those things, actually the only thing that they created is unknown and not known.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I feel like since then we have a very big unknown everywhere, including Israel. Oh my God. If I would ever make a documentary or movie or any kind of movie about my life, you know, not that I'm saying that I need a movie, but if I, because everybody have that, everybody is a star in their own movies, right?
Sure.
So if I would, like, and everybody have to be a really good 24/7 actor of their part, you know. And the more they're conscious about their part, the better the movie is, right? And if I would have to start my movie, it would probably be in 1989 in a tank, and we're 4 people in the tank. There is the commander that is on top. There is the driver. There is the one that actually put the bombs inside of, you know, like to shoot. I wish I had the right words to, you know, the military words, because you know, I didn't really speak English back then.
Mm-hmm.
And there was me that I was the one who was supposed to shoot, right? And we were in Lebanon, and we just realized that there is people that walking on the mountain in the area that you are not supposed to walk, because there is a certain kind of hours from dark to the next morning that whoever walk in that area known to be killed. So supposedly the only people that would walk in this time, they're terrorists. Now we have to understand that we're not in the borders of Israel. We're in Lebanon.
Yeah.
In southeast of Lebanon. And we're watching those figures on the night visions, you know. It's called Artishock.
Mm-hmm.
Secrets. Now I'm gonna be dead. And that's the technology of night vision and lasers. We're talking about 1989, just so we know.
Mm-hmm.
Super high tech. And we're waiting to a permission to shoot. And you know, we have to understand the concept. I've been trained for a whole year to do exactly what I'm about to do. To kill people. That's what I've been training, you know. That was my training, you know.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of emotions in me, but there was also like a lot of instinct, you know. There was already instinct that were seeds in me, which I didn't even know that those instincts are in me. And then I get the permission to start shooting, and I'm not shooting. And my commander is like, shoot, all in Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
Hebrew is already like a
aggressive.
aggressive language.
Yeah.
So It was, and when he say the word in Hebrew is ra, tira, tira, tira. Tira means shoot in Hebrew, but it's the sound of it is also mean being bad, and also mean be afraid. Which I actually, by the way, only figured it out this second. So, so in that moment, I'm paralyzed. Like I'm not doing anything, and supposedly the enemy is getting closer, and I'm paralyzed, and we all paralyzed except the commander. That he have his commander in the walkie-talkie, and it's all like artillery. They're all waiting for me to shoot, so the artillery around us will shoot to the sky. How do you call those bombshells that explode in the sky and then they create light?
Like flares?
Whatever.
Something?
But yeah. So they're all waiting for me to shoot so everybody else can do their part. And I'm not. So I don't know how long it is, but it probably was all that thing was not more than 30 seconds. But after 30 seconds, probably, I got a kick in my head from my commander.
He literally kicked you in the head.
Yeah, like it really, like I'm wearing an helmet, so he's kicking me in my head, and then I start shooting. And the moment I start shooting, something happened to me. I became that being that I didn't know. I became that excited killer, excited, unemotional killer that just get adrenaline out of actions, But yeah, I see that you have.
No, I'm listening.
So there was like, I was getting higher and higher. Like I probably never been so high in my life.
Right.
Just by the action, and I'm gonna say it as it is. I'm not going to pretend. The excitement of me seeing myself killing those people, able to see myself actually seeing those people get hurt from.
You saw that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Very clear.
Yeah.
And the idea that I actually see that brought me to, I would go far and say to ecstasy.
Mm-hmm.
That's how far I would go. And it's, the whole process was about, and in that process we have the driver of the tank,
mm-hmm.
that is keep shouting all the time, what's happening, like
he doesn't see.
He doesn't see, and he's definitely afraid for his life, because the moment I start shooting, there is a lot of things happening in the sky, a lot of artillery, a lot of, and they all, and he listened to me shout. And one thing that I was shouting that I remember very, very strong is that I shout, I see their meat going out of their body.
Yeah.
Because I truly did see.
Yeah.
And in that point, I want to pass forward.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you say that?
Yeah, jump forward.
Few years after,
mm-hmm.
and I'm in Brazil.
mm-hmm.
I'm in one of the most beautiful places in Brazil called Piracanga. It's in the Bahia, and it's a beautiful eco village with, just as you picture it, some a lot of coconut trees, and like beautiful blue ocean, and in between the houses that they're all like so tropical and organic, there's a small river that is actually pretty shallow, so you can walk. When you go to the beach, you have to walk through the river. And I'm sitting on the river bank, and there is the tide that go up and down, and the tide go up, and in this place the tide go really fast.
Yeah.
On the river, so you can actually see that in action. It's really interesting. And I'm in the riverbank, and I see those ants that build their house, and I was like, oh my god, the tide is coming to them, and the tide is gonna kill them all, and it's pretty obvious for me. And I'm really worried for them, like, and I'm so present to the situation, and I start to take their how do you call that thing of the house, but it's an ant house. How do you call it?
I mean, it's usually shaped like a hill, so I always hear like an ant hill or an ant
Ant
farm
hill.
or
So
something.
so
The colony.
The colony. So I take the whole colony from the bottom, and I move it to another place, to a safe place. And I'm doing it for like, it's take me a while, because you have to be so gentle, and like I'm talking to the ants, tell them that it's okay, that please don't worry, it's gonna be fine, I'm not coming to hurt you. And I realize how they really understand me in their own way, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is a communication, and they trust me, and it's really beautiful for me. And the more I see that I get a permission from them, the more we kind of like, I unite with the ants, which is kind of never happened to me before, because as a kid I used to always kill ants. It was seriously maybe the first time that I actually save ants, and it's take me like at least half an hour, and I save them, and then I'm done, and the tide go where the ants were, and I'm looking at that, and everything stop, and I say, suddenly I have the biggest realization I ever had in my life until now, until that day. And I say, I'm not a killer of people. I'm an ant saver. And I start crying. It was very emotional, very powerful for me, very strong healing. It's made me to realize, for the first time in my life, that I am what I see in myself of who I am. Like, really what I feel about myself is my perspective of who I am, and it's changed with my own doing. It's not necessarily a reflection of my past. It's like, the fact that I came here with Uber doesn't make me to be Uber. It's make me to be me, but I came here with a Uber, and I'm very grateful for that. But it's just part of my journey, who I am truly am, especially with people who doesn't know me. Because, like, for example, if somebody that's going to hear that podcast who doesn't know me,
Yeah.
the only thing that they know about me is the way I represent myself right now. And the more present we are, the more present I am going to be right now, and true to my own self, and true to you, the better perspective people would have about who I am. And then they have the tools to like me or not. They don't necessarily have to like me. Maybe there is things that I would say that would piss them off. But still, they will find some truth that is relevant to them in me, that maybe will let them to look at their own truth in a different way. Is that clear?
Sure.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think I made a presentation.
That's a good lean. Yeah, it's a good intro.
I didn't plan to make an intro.
No, I know. I mean,
Yeah, but it was, yeah.
Do I even call it an intro?
I know,
I'm
no,
not
but
even
it's
sure.
kind of, yeah, it's kind of.
It's it's definitely it's a beginning of beginning of an epic story. When I hear what you're saying, I naturally have a lot of questions. In response to those, the particular events that you were talking about. But you said that was 89, and you happened to be in Lebanon.
Yeah.
Was that, and that you said that was the first time you'd been in that scenario where you, you targeted people, individuals. Had you been in situations after that? Similar situations? Like, what's the...
Yeah, I've been in another really powerful situation. Actually, it was really interesting because after that, but first of all, like, just to make things clear so people would not have any mystery about the subject, to close the story, so yes, 5 people have been killed, and I killed...
You know who they were?
They were supposedly from an organization that connected to the Hezbollah.
Mm-hmm.
It was a smaller organization, but everything that we know is from information of the Israeli army. So I don't know the story from the other side.
Right.
I did met people that been from that area that have a different kind of story, different kind of perspective. The name of the village was Kaukabe. And I remember, like, coming to this area, like, driving with the tank and looking at the environment. I was like, oh my God, this place is so beautiful. This place is so beautiful. And I never really had, like, a strong touch of nature. Like, I didn't really... When I was 18, 19, I didn't really have a value to nature in that way. We used to shoot nature for practice,
Yeah.
We used to shoot with our tanks. We used to shoot natures all the time. That was our routine, like go to a mountain and just shoot the mountains for hours, with crazy bombs, That's what,
You're talking about, like, for fun or for training?
No,
or
for training.
For training, yeah.
It is fun in a way because it's fun to shoot.
Yeah. Well, especially at that age, what, 18?
Yeah,
19?
especially in that age, like, and especially like when you think about yourself as a hero, because this is how you train to think about yourself,
right.
Because
it's part of the ethos, like the whole...
Yeah, like you put on you those uniforms, and immediately you and the gun, and immediately you feel that you're way more important than what you are. Especially if you're a warrior, then it's a completely different thing, because we have to understand that in Israel it's mandatory to be in the army, but
Mm-hmm.
yet I would say probably 80% of the people that actually join the army are not fighters. They're working in office jobs, they're working in the kitchen, and most of them do have guns and uniforms. So I'm not sure about the numbers, by the way, but we can always check it later. But generally, when people put on themselves uniforms and weapons, they immediately feel stronger.
Right.
And what I did notice, because in the morning when we waited in the tank, and then when the morning came, there was there was like hundreds of people suddenly, like really important people, the head general of the army and all that. They all came and they all treated me as a hero.
Mm-hmm.
And I did get a reward for being a hero. And me and my crew too.
Mm-hmm.
But in the eyes of everybody, even though I had a crew, in the eyes of everybody, it was me. It was just me. It was all about me killing those people. and I never really stopped to think about it. Was always something that, you know how, like people say, when I used to come to different situations, people say, oh, this is he, he's the one that, and I would always like play the humble game, like, like kind of like, oh, please don't mention it. But somewhere in me, I would enjoy that, because I was born in this reality that was so
Brought up in it.
yeah, that whoever, like, I'm a hero in their eyes, and I don't want to break that from them, and I don't want to break that from me. Like, I want to see myself as a hero, because nobody ever looked at me as a hero before.
Yeah.
For anything else I did.
Yeah.
I was a terrible student. I didn't have a lot of friends. I was not like a great musician. I was not a painter. I couldn't have any credit on my name that will make me a hero in no one eyes or mind or ear. You know what I mean? I was just less than a regular dude. I was just someone who barely could say his opinion, because I was sure that everybody else's opinion is smarter and stronger than mine, and everybody else they know more what they're talking about. So I would, generally speaking, I would make a joke out of everything, and I would be whatever people wanted me to be. Usually was just a little bit, give like this spice of fun to every situation, but never really go deep to in any subject.
Yeah.
So suddenly
You're a hero.
I'm a hero. So, but what I notice is that in the morning, and that's why I came back to that, is that the people that we call terrorists back then, and you can call them any name you want, but as a fact, those people had uniform, even though their uniform was completely destroyed by the amount of bullets that I shoot them, and the bombs and everything, that they barely had a shape to any part of their body. But the most strong memory I had was their uniform. So the perspective of just so we refine that, where those people come from in their environment, in their family, those people are not called terrorists. They call soldiers.
Yeah.
And freedom fighters.
Yeah.
And we do have to remember that. Even though we agree with their mission or not, calling them terrorists is actually make us not to understand where they're coming from. Because they have names to the Israeli army too, and it's not a hero and it's not soldiers.
Yeah, it sounds like what you're saying is, having referred to them as, quote, terrorists, is just it's a dehumanizing term, and obviously they have names, they probably have families.
Absolutely.
And obviously, as you pointed out, they had uniforms. It's like suddenly you realize there's this weird intersection of stories, right? They were living their own story, you're living your own story, and in that moment you guys met and you followed orders.
Yeah.
And then you sort of lived out this further story of, you were the hero.
Yeah.
After fulfilling the order. I don't know what the right terminology is.
I know.
It's interesting. For me, it's so interesting to hear any of the story, because I myself was also born in Israel but raised here, so I had the option of doing the mandatory service or not. And I think somewhere in my early teens, I think my mom, because by then my parents were divorced, my dad was out of the picture for a long time. But my mom decided to, I think, exempt me maybe there was just a brief conversation. So I really have nor did I even back then have a desire to go voluntarily. I have friends who are, Israeli by family, but they're born here, but they also voluntarily went. Like I have a few friends who became like, photographers out in the field and all that stuff. But my only sort of storyline with it is through my dad, who I still don't have a full picture of, but he was, he told me a couple stories of like Navy SEAL, Special Forces, those kinds of stories. And even from him, I get a biased perspective on the situation. I mean, just to bring it back to the situation.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to refer to it, because there's, as you say, there's this implicit bias with everyone because of how much sort of media narrative there is. I've been there. I haven't been to, Gaza, but I went to Bethlehem for Christmas Eve 5 years ago. That was my one and only experience on the other side of that wall.
Yeah.
One experience.
Yeah.
And even then, I remember going in, it was like what's going to happen? And am I going to get in trouble? And not am I going to get in trouble from people on the other side, but just like, am I going to get in trouble trying to come back in?
Yeah.
Because of my status or my citizenship and all these stories that sort of intersect with each other.
And you could actually look Palestinian or Israeli. Me too. Like I could pass both ways,
I think that's what actually, now in retrospect, that's kind of what helped me on both sides. When I even spent time 10 years ago in Spain, for a week, people came up to me and started speaking in Spanish or Catalonian, and I was like, I'm so sorry, I don't speak Spanish. And I had a couple of people who were just like, I was convinced
how is it possible?
How is that possible?
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, exactly. So it's funny to talk about that, to reflect on it for a second, because it's like, I don't realize I have that going for me. But like, how do you even objectively, I guess there's no objectivity here really, but subjectively speaking, you personally have so much experience, having grown up there, having been in and out of the army. How does your truth speak to not the media narrative, but just like what do you do in response to the quote situation? Like, how do you live your truth?
Yeah. Well, it's definitely an expansion, like when you have that kind of experience and you acknowledge the experience, you don't run away from that. Because I do have friends that I mentioned them situation that been with me in the army, that I mentioned that situation that we've been together in Gaza, for example, and they will tell me, what the hell are you talking about? This never happened. So there is a lot of denied, right? But when you don't have the denied, then you necessarily have an expansion, because you see, like, I believe that if there is something, like, let's say that we go spiritual one moment, everybody have an inner child in them, right? Like this beautiful, innocent human being, this pure soul that just waiting for us to acknowledge that purity that we're staying inside of ourselves. And I feel like situations like that make the child not to be safe, and people will change forever from not having that contact with their inner child.
Okay.
And when you do acknowledge trauma or experience like that, whatever you want to call it, you do acknowledge the pain of that inner child, the pain of that purity. And the moment you acknowledge that, and there is recognition of that being, then this child actually is able to come back. And that's the beautiful part. And then this is expansion. And then when people tell you, choose a side, because this is how we live in an environment of right and wrong, right?
Black and white.
So the other day, like a few weeks back, a few months back, there was a lady from Jordan that called me that heard about my story. And she say, yeah, I want to bring you in and document it, and you lecture in Jordan about, and and the whole time I hear her saying, we're against Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And I stopped her one moment. I was like, wait a second, like I want things to be clear.
Yeah.
Before you bringing me anywhere, before you invest your time in me, you just have to, I just want to be clear on one thing. I'm not against Israel. I'm not against Palestine. I'm not against anybody. I'm only for the truth. That's the only thing that I want to represent. And even my truth, I'm limited. Even in my perspective of the
subjective,
truth.
Yeah.
Yes, because there is so many angles that I still didn't see. So my ability to know that I do not know bring me a lot of conscious about not to do actions that I will regret later on, because I already created the biggest karma of all karmas. I killed people.
Yeah.
Like in every situation I come, like, I'm going to a lot of festivals and I'm hanging out with a lot of hippies and spiritual people, but I also hang out with regular people, right? In my job. And I mean, regular, everybody's regular, right? But, like people always put in frames. So the only thing that I know, that if I stop one moment and I look around, I'm like thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm the worst person of everybody else here. I actually killed people. There is no one here that killed people. I'm the only one. And I always start as the worst person in the room. And I feel like I do have a responsibility to be a great person. I do have a responsibility to expand my integrity. And I don't know if I'm good at it or not, but I know that I have a responsibility to be that person, to be transparent, to be vulnerable, to care, and to be fun, to make, to be a trickster, still to bring my personality. I do have that trickster personality in me, but I do have to represent, like, I don't have credits. Other people have still credits. They can make like a major mistake still and be okay with that. I can't handle it no more. I reached the limit of my credits, game over is really like borderline for me all the time.
You're saying from a karmic perspective?
Not only from karmic, from self-consciousness too. Because I'm not sure if karma, everybody see the meaning of words in different way. Like, I don't really see karma as a punishment.
Right.
I truly see karma as something that actually bringing you back to the path, and not necessarily punch you in your face. Something that actually like just push you just a little bit. Yeah, you're good, but just a little bit to the right. That's what I feel. So when I say karma, I definitely like pushed my karma off-road big time.
I'm it's interesting as I'm hearing just the things that you're saying right now. I start to get curious. Like, are you saying these things in a redemptive quality? Do you seek? I don't get this feeling that you're seeking redemption. It's more like humility and sort of, where sort of shame actually turns into gratitude. I don't get the sense that you look at the things that you've done,
Yeah.
and you live through them, but do you carry it around as a kind of a jacket of shame?
No,
I don't
not
think
at
so.
all. No,
Yeah.
I actually not. I actually feel very, very grateful.
Yeah.
First of all, I feel grateful to survive that, because
Yeah.
I know that most people would experience that. Even if they would, when I say survive, it doesn't mean to be alive or dead, It's mean
Just
that
live with it.
yeah, to
Yeah,
live
yeah.
with that and to be conscious about the experience,
Yeah.
and still live your life as according to your mission in life, according to the path that you meant to serve here, and not letting something like that to disturb you, to distract you. Actually let something like that to actually empower you. And I feel like to arrive there, I did have to have the shame. I can't if
You're not avoiding the shame.
Oh man,
Yeah.
there was, we skipped, there was a big part that we were not talking about. Like I jumped all the way from me
Yeah.
killing people to me on
To
the bank
Brazil.
of the river in Brazil.
Yeah.
But all the way in between those 12 years or whatever, there was a lot of nightmares.
Yeah.
There was a lot of traumas. There was a lot of pain.
Yeah.
There was a lot of shame, So, but I do see, I understand what you're saying, but I'm not, if I would meet a family of Lebanese people that lost their child in that war, I will feel pain for them.
Yeah.
And I will be very, very gentle in my verbal expression, and I would apologize, because it's not like I don't take responsibility on my action.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the truth. I did kill people, I'm conscious about it. The fact that it's in my past and I'm present doesn't make that I'm not conscious about me, part
Mm-hmm.
of me that did that. And it doesn't matter that I've been forced to do that as a soldier. I did it, and I do take responsibility about it.
Yeah.
Like, I want, if that
Yeah.
was, yeah.
No. That wasn't even. Yeah.
No, but it's true. It's important that
Yeah.
people would know that I do acknowledge and I do take
Yeah.
responsibility, and I can't say I'm sorry, because really I don't believe in sorry in that perspective, because my sorriness will bring nothing to the world. The most important thing is my actions.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'm sorry for the pain of the families, but I do feel, and I'm not trying to be spiritual, as a fact, in myself, I feel like those beings, those 5 beings, are definitely part of me right now.
Yeah.
I represent them too. It's not like since that moment, I have a responsibility to represent not only me, to represent them too.
Yeah.
Because usually, like, people just look at the perspective of the victim who got hurt, and people doesn't really aware and conscious about the one who killed, the pain that the one who killed actually experienced, the pain of killing
Yeah.
is stronger than the pain of getting killed.
Yeah. I don't even know. I mean,
Yeah.
that's.
It's pretty, but if you think about it, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
The one who got killed, in a spiritual meaning, maybe have certain kind of pain, and the family have pain, but the person himself,
When you say that,
Yeah.
and it's it's always profound to hear it, and in a way it kind of sounds like what for the 5 minutes that people can respond to the shootings that happen here in this country every day or every week or whatever it is, and it happens to be through some deranged white male for some maybe ideological reason, right? And most of the time, and very little gets spoken about the mental state of that person.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know. I wish there was more time, but
Yeah.
I have to go to pick up my daughter in a few minutes. But
I know.
I'm curious to know, again, is it useful given the way that people and countries and media has turned the situation into more of a situation or not? Is it useful to think of solutions? Or is it real? It's not, because again,
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
What are like three things, solutions that you think? I mean, do you think in terms of like these labels of like, well, there should be peace and there should be two states, or there should be this or there should be that, not to make things and not to keep things black and white?
Yeah, I feel you. I feel like when people think about solutions, right? They think about the end of a process, right? Like solution is actually the end of something, right? And the beginning of something else. And I feel like the beginning of the process is actually acknowledging the pain in both sides.
Yeah.
And I feel that we're not there yet. And that's the most important thing. So there is both sides feeling victimized. That's really important to know, that even though like the Israelis are supposed to be the strongest, they still feel victimized by the Palestinians because they don't know the whole story. They know only one angle. And the Palestinians are the same, they only know one angle. And of course, if I have to choose, if I could choose my luck and I would say where I born, in Israel or Palestine, of course I choose to born in Israel because I have a better chance to be able to be here in Los Angeles with a passport and O1 visa when I come from Israel and not from Palestine. Because if I would be in Palestine, I would not be a soldier, I would be a terrorist. So, of course, if you look at it, the best way to find a solution is to go into the process. And I feel the most important in that process is actually, in every argument, but definitely there, is just let's say, as a baby, I just born today in the opposite side that I actually born. Like if I'm born in Israel, let's say today I born, or my child born in Palestine to a different family, to a Palestinian family, and try to watch and observe without any attachment, just observe the reality, how they wake up in the morning, what do they do, what kind of an experience they have, what kind of experience their parents have, and just watch that. Watch your mind, watch that movie,
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like with that movie, there will be a process and there will be a solution too. Because when you want to make a peace with somebody, you do have to see the somebody.
Yeah.
You can't only see what you're going to gain out of it.
Yeah.
And this is how it is right now. And I do feel like there is a solution. But the way, one time I came to visit in Israel, which I don't do often.
Mm-hmm.
And I came to even though my parents belong to the left party in Israel, I always get arguments with them, and it sounds like, for me, like they're fanatic extremist right wing, and I sound like but my mom, in one of the arguments, she said to me, no, actually my dad was asking me at one point, he was like, I just want to know one thing. Do you believe in the existence of Israel? And
It sounds so fundamental.
I know, with the finger, like putting the finger, I don't know if you can visual that. Like my father was kind of an ex-general in the army.
Yeah.
Like putting his finger, but I want to know, do you, and Hebrew is a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
And I was in the corner, and I was like, truly? I don't. And my father was like, my father and my dad, they start to shout on me. And I was like, wait a second. I just want you to know, before we go there, that the fact that I don't believe in the existence of Israel, like I take Israel as it is. Israel is exist. But if you ask me if I believe in the existence of Israel, the question is if I believe in existence of any other country. I don't believe in borders that form in that kind of... I don't believe that those borders function well in the environment that we're trying to create right now. We're trying to create environment that actually going to be fit to the kids, not to the past. So you're asking me if the kids of the future need the border of Israel or the border of Palestine or the border of France? The answer is 100% no. And this is the most important thing. It's not about, it's not about Israel, because I don't believe in Israel as a country. I don't believe in countries at all, but I do believe that in our past we needed a tribal form that based... I do believe in communities, but I don't believe in tribal form for protection. Like, I don't feel like we need to protect ourselves, and because of that we need to form a tribe.
Yeah.
I feel like I need you to observe my process, and I need to observe your process, and we need to reflect each other, and we need to form kind of bond so we can journey together, and we can explore love and explore just fun, and whatever it is, fun for us, video games, soccer, whatever it is, whatever it is, then it doesn't matter. But we don't need things that based out of fear no more. And that's the most important thing. So yeah, I don't know if I asked you about solutions, but I carry on, me. So I just,
No, it's a great mindset to think about the framing and framing of children, families, the framing of communities, and not borders to have countries against one another to defend the story of a border. So yeah, I hear that.
Yeah. Which is kind of funny. We're dealing with border issues right here in the United States, in the border of Mexico, and I truly have no solid opinion. Even though I've been in Mexico a bunch of time, and I love Mexico, and I love Mexicans, and I love Americans, and especially being in LA, it's almost the same, because this is kind of... LA is kind of American Mexican environment, and don't we feel safe when we see Mexicans? For sure. I never feel fear when I see a Mexican guy. It's the opposite. I see a Mexican guy, I see somebody that I can trust. I see Mexican guy, I see hard worker, that I can actually ask him for a favor to take a look at to take care of my bike.
Yeah, and another way I would say, I say that in another way, a different framing of like, I see culture, I see values, I see stories, I see people, I see families, I see...
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the same thing. It's the whole argument for the border or like against immigration is just pure xenophobia and just superiority versus inferiority, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I would love to continue this conversation.
Well, we would.
Again.
Another time.
Over another tea and another banana bread.
Oh my God.
And thank you for Ubering here.
Yeah, super grateful. Super grateful. I'm really, really honored to actually be able to.
And thank you for sharing the story.
I really feel like this story is really like. I need to purge that,
Yeah.
It's really important. It will come out of me because I'm sure there is expansion there. I'm very grateful that you let me to express that.
Yeah.
I love you.
Love you too. Hope you enjoyed the talk. Please subscribe if you're feeling it. Leave a review if you got some time. And check out the Patreon. That's patreon.com/wabi-sabi podcast.